I'm Sam, I'm one of the directors and owners of New Forest Activities, and back 20 years ago when I first started on my outdoor activity journey, I always wanted to have my own ropes course because that's where I did my outdoor apprenticeship. People challenging themselves in fundamentally safe activities that feel risky, I noticed was really empowering when it came to personal and team development, and I made it my mission that one day I would have my own. And here we are 20 years down the line, and having built a paddle sport company up off the back of my university days, thanks to a change in circumstances at Hampshire County Council, this site became available, and this ropes course that was known as Beaulieu Development Centre became up for grabs. This here is the space that's available for people to park. Now, assuming people are sensible when it comes to parking, we've never had a challenge getting the whole group into this space. Having said that, the access track up to here is about a couple of kilometres long, and it is quite, well, it's a gravel track effectively, so we do encourage people to park where possible down in the Motor Museum and then car share up to this spot in the woods. For larger groups, there is coach access to the site, but that involves using the main parking areas of Beaulieu Estate, and that's something that we'll cover on booking with us. So leaving the car park behind us, you approach into the main part of the ropes course. Now, the ropes course is the name given to this site by the Beaulieu Estate, but it doesn't really do justice to what we've created up here now. Just off the car park behind me, we've got an archery range, which forms a great activity as part of the programmes up here. We've also got a dedicated bushcraft area for shelter building, firelighting, and a whole host of other activities that teach people about woodcraft and effectively understanding the woodland environment to make the most of it. So we do some species identification, we can do some tracking, and there's a whole area of land here that people and groups are free to roam to explore and learn about the great outdoors. Of course, there's ropes course activities up here as well. We've got a number of high ropes activities, things that all start on the ground, would allow people to slowly make their way up into the trees, pushing themselves to a point where they call it off and say, you know, that's me, I've grown for the day. And then there's a whole host of team challenges and low ropes as well. We've got a central low ropes challenge course, but also dotted around the woodland are a whole host of things like spiders' webs, river crossings, and all manner of rope swings and bridges that people can work together and think through to get their team across and to make progress through effectively a journey of personal and team development. So behind me is the newest addition to the ropes course. This classroom, this training area has been built to fulfill the need that many groups have. So if the weather's not so good, or if people want to really get down to business and do some planning, or we want to go a little bit deeper with the training elements, this space now allows us to host up to 40 or 50 people in facilities that are going to be warm, dry, and believe it or not, have electricity. This site has always been off-grid, and it still is so to this day really, but by using some solar power and some clever engineering, we're able to have a studio effectively in there where you can show presentations and you can effectively do the kind of training that you would typically do in a hotel. So now groups, school groups, business groups can come down to New Forest Activities and do a whole day here fulfilling all of their training and educational needs, whether that's led by themselves with their teachers or their in-house facilitators, or maybe it's delivered by our team of instructors and development trainers. So just off down a little side path from our main area here in the ropes course, I'm going to take you down to our bushcraft area. On the left and the right of me here are the remains of shelters that previous groups have erected, but there's plenty of space here for people to forage for the resources that they need to keep themselves safe in the kind of imaginary scenarios that we throw at them, be it a plane crash or a stranding. There's lots of stuff that we can get people to explore up here. Just ahead of me now, we've got the Campfire Circle. I'll show you a bit more of that now. So this is our main bushcraft site. You can see there's a Campfire Circle, and this is the space where groups learn how to safely create fire using natural elements. Now, I have not got a long enough beard to proclaim to be a bushcraft expert, so there's a number of my team and even some external experts that come in and make this a real journey of discovery and really help people to get to grips with the basic tools, knives, axes, and also the kind of key concepts of the fire triangle, and also about foraging and finding the correct items to either make fire or cook food. And in fact, for some of our activity days, particularly those that are a little bit longer and a bit more in depth, we actually get groups to cook for themselves over this fire using cast iron cooking equipment and tripods and other pretty cool stuff. So the high ropes course was where I did my apprenticeship, taking people through challenging experiences. They're effectively industrial ropes access equipment located in woodlands. So up there in the trees we've got steel cables capable of holding 3.5 to 4 tons of weight, and then what we do is we use climbing equipment to keep people safe. So effectively what you've got here is an environment that is inherently safe and yet produces real stretch in people. It takes people away from the everyday and the comfortable and asks them to challenge themselves using height as the background. Now, our high ropes, and in fact all well-run high ropes courses will be based on this idea of challenge by choice. The idea is that all of the activities start on the ground, and it's the individual participant that chooses how far they go. Whilst some people, walking along one of these bridges or leaping on a leap of faith, is something that's going to just start to push them and just start to challenge them because it's something they're comfortable with, right? But for other people, just climbing to the top of a ladder or just their first few steps onto a tree is going to be a massive push and a massive challenge. And that's kind of like life, really. Different people are doing things at a different pace. Different people have different skill sets, likes, desires. And what we do in a ropes course is allow people to push themselves so that they grow. And that's why I believe ropes course have real power. It encourages people to push themselves slightly to grow from the experience and learn something about themselves. Take themselves away from the everyday and the normal and do something extraordinary that they can then bring back and add real value to their lives, be that in business or just their everyday experience. So this is our low ropes challenge course. It's often confused with an obstacle course or an assault course because whilst physically it shares some of those features, this actually is about teams solving problems and making themselves safe on a journey together, overcoming different challenges. So rather than just coming from A to B, we'll chuck in little extra bits like they've got to transport tennis balls or a cup of water that they can't spill. And it's those extra elements that make them think and come up with creative plans for getting through the tasks. And that's the same for a whole host of activities in the woodlands, be it a river crossing or a rope swing. There's even walls to get over. These are challenges that requires people to pull together, think together and work effectively to get through them, whether that's against the clock, against other teams or just against themselves. You could fill a whole day with just the team tasks and the no ropes elements. This is just a small look at what we have in the wider ropes course up here at New Forest Activities.
So this is our Woodland Archery range. We've got a couple of archery areas at New Forest Activities, but this one in particular is nice and secluded. It's up at the ropes course and there's enough shelter and enough space for groups of up to 20 really to take part and still have plenty of chance for learning the art of archery as well as playing some games and doing some competitions. Archery normally works really well alongside bushcraft. A half day, a 3-hour session is often filled with an hour and a half or so on the bushcraft activities and then an additional 90 minutes on the archery. If you've got a larger group, you know, groups of 30 to 40, then you swap those over. So you'd have 15 or so doing archery, 15 on the bushcraft, and we swap them over halfway through the day to make a really nice half-day option, often with high and low ropes, then in the afternoon.
So that concludes the brief tour of our Woodland Activity Centre, also known as the the Bewley ropes course. There's lots of areas that we haven't explored in detail. We haven't seen all the problem solving challenges. We haven't gone deep into some of the high ropes. There's a hidden trapeze or a leap of faith out there. However, I'm hoping that this video is giving you an overview of the main opportunities that we have up here for exploring personal development and team development ideas, as well as having a whole load of fun up in the woodland. Take care and hopefully see you down here real soon.